I want to talk a little bit about where you grew up. A big influence on your life was your grandmother.
That's correct.
Tell me about her.
She was a wonderful, sweet, sweet lady who also worked very hard. She was a widow and had 6 children. She set the example, and I can remember her next door neighbor was an immigrant from Germany and had family fighting on the German side of the war. She had boys fighting on the American side. And they would sit there in 2 rocking chairs on the front porch and talk about the just folly of war, and each wishing the other's children turned out okay. And they were the best of friends throughout World War II. And that just told me, how important the human can be in human relationships. It's all about what's between your ears and how you feel about people. Same way when I practiced law, I just believed in giving a high level of personal service, being available to the client, not hiding behind technical rules, getting down on what is right. And I guess today that's what concerned me most about the practice of law, is that so many lawyers now want to ambush one another, just do anything they can to win, but totally losing any professional relationship with the other lawyers.
And when you started practicing law, there weren't that many lawyers in St. Tammany Parish.
No, in St. Tammany I think we had about a dozen. Court was so seldom that we would usually have court 2 days a month. On a Monday to come in and enter preliminary defaults, and Friday to come back and confirm them. Court would start at 9:30, and usually by 10:15 court was over. And I tell people, the judge and whatever lawyers were in the courtroom that day would then all go across the street to a cafe and sit down and have a cup of coffee together at a small table. I think when the Supreme Court allowed advertising, that did more to cause the degeneration of people's image of lawyers and their respect for them. When I started practicing law, you could not have a sign or a shingle outside of your office bigger than about 1 foot square. You could not even put your name in the phone book in boldface. It had to be just like everybody else's, because lawyers, you could not give any gifts to clients. You couldn't even pass your cards out to anybody.
The Supreme Court was actually where you started right when you graduated from law school. And tell me about your experience as a Judicial Administrator.
Well, it was most challenging. One of the things we did, and it culminated in 1960, was to form the Third Circuit Court of Appeal in Lake Charles, which the council helped set the stage because there was a need for that. And we got it done and went down to Lake Charles in 1960 and started the Third Circuit.
And that was also where you got to know Al Tate.
I knew Judge Tate, Justice Tate, quite well. We got to be the best of friends and remained friends his whole life. And he was probably one of the brightest, most indefatigable workers I ever knew in my life. He would call me up and say, you think more conservative than I do, and it's good for us to debate things. It'll help me make the right decision. So he'd call me up. He'd call me J.A. for Judicial Administrator. J.A., what you doing? I'm working. Come up here. I need to talk. We'd get up there and we'd debate a case back and forth. He just had stacks of work all over it. There might be a half-filled cup of coffee on top of a stack here and an ashtray there, because occasionally he would puff on a cigar. And he'd turned sideways from his desk facing me in a chair, and we were debating something at great length. And he was puffing on a cigar, and he reached back to put it on an ashtray without looking. It missed the ashtray, and next thing I know, some paper burning on his desk. I said, Judge, your desk is on fire. He never quit arguing the law, just reached back and started pounding on it. A cup of coffee fell off of another stack of paper, spilled on top of the fire, put it out, and he never missed a point in the argument, because that was more important to him than putting out the fire on his desk. You spend a third of your life learning and another third earning, and I believe that last third you give back. And so I'm in my give back mode now, and I do some part-time work as chairman of my bank board and come into the bank, but most of my time is spent working with charitable organizations and organizations to improve the quality of life on the community, everything from the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra to the North Shore Community Foundation to the Boy Scouts to the St. Tammany Hospital Foundation,
Why do you think music and the arts is so important for a community?
Well, it's quality of life, and it's also it's something that can bring people together. If you have that common interest and love of music or art or whatever it is, it enables you to establish dialogue with people, and if you communicate with people, you avoid confrontation. And you have confrontations when people don't communicate, because people of reasonable minds can solve most problems if they just communicate and listen more than they talk. You have to have a reason to get up every day, and you have to have something that energizes you. And you know, I'm somewhat past 80 now, but I still have a pretty high level of energy because I've got things I have to do every day. And it gives me a reason to get up, and I enjoy it.